Welcome to the lecture series on kinematics of machinery. In this video, we are going to discuss how to draw a velocity diagram for a given slider crank mechanism. Now here we have a slider crank mechanism. Now if you look at a slider crank mechanism, it has got 4 links and 4 joints. Now the first link is the fixed link. So this is also called the frame. Now the second link is the crank. Now the third link is the connecting rod or the coupler. The fourth link is the slider. In this case, this is also the piston. Okay, if you look at the 4 joints, 3 joints are pin joints. The 4th joint is a sliding joint. So the pin joints are also called revolute joints, and the last one is the sliding joint. Now the first link is called the fixed link, as I mentioned earlier. Now if you look at the second link, it is grounded at one point and the other end is free to move. One end is grounded, the other end is free to move. Now if you look at the last link, it is of course free to move, but it makes contact with the frame. Now links 2 and 4 are called grounded links. Link 1 is called the fixed link. Now link 3 is called a floating link. So in this case the coupler is the floating link. Now the reason for that is both the ends of the link are moving. So that's a floating link. Now we have to construct a kinematic diagram for this before we draw the velocity diagram. Now if you see how this mechanism operates, we'll be able to draw the velocity diagram easily. So that is, when the crank is at this position, if it turns clockwise like this, the piston moves towards the right. So the piston moves in this direction. Now it keeps moving till the crank becomes horizontal like this. Now when the crank becomes horizontal, the piston stops at that position. Now once the crank goes down from here, the piston moves towards the left, or the piston moves backwards. So this is the understanding that we need to have before we draw the velocity diagram. Now let's look at some of the terms that we have to understand. Linear displacement. So we already know what is displacement. It is the distance moved along a straight line. So this distance, now for example, if a point is moving along a straight line with respect to a fixed point, now with respect to a reference point, now if this is the reference point, if this point A moves, then this will be the displacement. Now linear velocity is the rate of change of linear displacement with respect to time. So whenever we use the term rate of change, that means it has to be with respect to time. So in this case, it is the displacement made in 1 second. So the linear velocity is the displacement made in 1 second. Now the next term is angular displacement. So if one point moves with respect to a reference point, for example, if point A moves like this, making an angle, so if point A is at a constant distance or a fixed distance from point O, it keeps moving, maintaining that fixed distance or the radius, then it makes an angle. So now that is the angular displacement theta. Now angular velocity is the rate of change of angular displacement. So that is the angular displacement made in 1 second. Now the angular displacement is expressed in radians, the angular velocity in radians per second. Similarly, the linear displacement, the unit is meters. The linear velocity will be written in meters per second. Now if you look at a bowler bowling a ball, now he's holding a ball in his hand. Now his arm is turning, so his arm is making an angular displacement with respect to time. So this arm has an angular velocity omega. Now the moment he releases the ball is going to travel along a straight line. So the moment he releases the ball is going to travel along a straight line. The ball will not travel along a curve, it will definitely travel along a straight line, we all know that. Now the velocity of the ball will be its linear velocity, v. Now what is the relationship between linear velocity and angular velocity? Now if you know the radius of his arm, so this is r, so if you know the radius, then we can write v is equal to r omega to find out the linear velocity of the ball. So if you know the angular velocity of the bowler's arm, and if you know the radius, then we can find out the linear velocity of the ball. So we have to apply this principle to find out some of the terms that we need to calculate. Now in this problem, the speed of rotation of the crank is given. So the crank is rotating at a constant speed that is given in revolutions per second. The length of the crank is given, the length of the coupler is given. So from this we can calculate the angular velocity using this formula, omega is equal to 2 pi n by 60. Now this is written as omega AO. So why do we write it that way? So this is the angular velocity of point A with respect to the fixed point. So that's the reason why we write AO. So the angular velocity of the point A with respect to the point O. So we can calculate this. Now this comes to 20.94 radians per second. Now again we are going to use the formula v is equal to r omega. So we can write this as v AO is equal to r AO times omega AO. So if you just put these values, so now this is equal to 0.3 meters. Now we already know this value, so this is 20.94. Once we put these values, we are going to get 6.28 meters per second. So we are able to find out the linear velocity. Now what will be the direction of linear velocity? Now in the previous example that I showed, the moment he releases the ball is going to travel along a straight line. Now that straight line will be perpendicular to his arm at that particular point. So this linear velocity will be perpendicular to this radius, right? So using that logic, if you see, the linear velocity will be in this direction. So this will be the direction of VAO. So we have calculated the magnitude of the linear velocity. Now we know the direction of linear velocity. Now when the crank turns in the clockwise direction, the piston is going to move towards the right. Since the piston is constrained here, so this is a sliding joint, so this is constrained here, so that means the piston has to travel along a straight line. So using this, we can draw the velocity diagram. Now it is always better to construct a kinematic diagram before we draw the velocity diagram. So using the given dimensions, first we can draw a horizontal line. So on the horizontal line, we have to mark point O. So I'll just mark this point O. Now this angle is given. The angle the crank makes with the horizontal is given. So let's mark this angle. So by marking 40 degrees and taking a length which represents the radius of the crank, we can mark the length here. We can mark OA. Now what length shall we take? So since we have to draw this diagram on a piece of paper, we have to choose a convenient length to represent 0.3 meters. Now 0.3 meters will be too big to draw on paper, so we can take 3 centimeters to represent 0.3 meters. So the scale will be 1 centimeter is equal to 0.1 meters, which means that 1 centimeter on paper is equal to 0.1 meters on the actual mechanism. So using this, we are drawing the crank. Now we have to draw the coupler. Now we have a horizontal line here. We've drawn the crank here. Now we know the length of the coupler, which is given to us here. So this is 0.8 meters. Now to represent this length, we have to take 8 centimeters. So according to this scale, we have to take 8 centimeters to represent 0.8 meters. So what we can do is we can take 8 centimeters on a compass, and taking this as the center, we can draw an arc which intersects the horizontal line. So this becomes our point B. We can draw a line connecting A and B. This becomes our AB. So this is our kinematic diagram. So from this, we can draw the velocity diagram. So to draw the velocity diagram, first we have to mark the point which is fixed. So in this case, the fixed point is point O. So I'm going to take one point. I'm just marking a point. I'm going to label that as O. Now we already know that the piston is going to move along a straight line towards the right. So first I'll draw a horizontal line which represents the velocity of the piston. So let me draw this here at a convenient location. Okay, so I'll take the point here. I'll draw a horizontal line. I'll call this as V, B, O. So the velocity of B with respect to point O. So that's why I've written it as V, B, O. Now, so this line I'm just going to extend. So simply I'm just going to draw a horizontal line, because I don't know the length of that particular line. So that's what we have to find out. So in this particular case, they've given some information. Now what we need to find out are the velocities of the piston and the velocity of the coupler. It could be in any of these directions. That's what we have to find out. So using these parameters, we have to find out the unknown, which is the velocity of the piston and the velocity of the connecting rod. Now we have this value, which is the linear velocity of the crank. Now the direction of that is going to be perpendicular to the crank. So from this point O, so this velocity is VAO, so which is the velocity of A with respect to O. So since O is the reference point, so I'm just going to draw a line in this direction perpendicular to the crank like this. So you can use set squares to draw parallel lines or perpendicular lines. So using that, you can draw a line to represent 6.28 meters per second. You can take the length of this line as 6.28 centimeters if you have space. So this length is known. Now this direction is also known. So in this case, I'm marking this direction. This direction is known to us. This length is also known to us. So in this case, in the case of the piston, the direction is known to us, the length is not known. Now, the third velocity that we have to find out is the velocity of the coupler or the connecting rod. Now, if you have to take the linear velocity of the coupler, it has to be perpendicular to the coupler. So, when the coupler is turning by pivoting about point A or pivoting about point B, it doesn't matter, the linear velocity will be perpendicular to the coupler. So if you have to use that logic, we have to draw a line perpendicular to the coupler. So now we know this point. So this is point A. Point B has to be, so in this particular case, in the velocity diagram, what we can do is we can use small a. So just to differentiate it from the kinematic diagram. So I'm just using small a here. Now from small a, we can draw a line parallel to this line, parallel to this green line. So if I do that, so I'll use a different color. So if I draw a line which is parallel to this line, which is parallel to this line, so I'm getting a line from here. Now where this intersects the horizontal line, I'm going to mark this point B. Okay, so this line, so we found the third point. Now once we have the velocity diagram, so this is the velocity diagram. So once we have the velocity diagram, if you measure this distance, if you measure the length of this line, you will get the value of VBO. Okay, so we already have the direction of VBO. Now what about the direction of the coupler, or what will be the velocity direction, or what will be the direction of linear velocity of the coupler? Now you can write it in two different ways. The reason is, if I do it this way, if I mark it this way, I have to write it as VAB. If I put it this way, now instead of this, if I put it the other way, if I put the direction this way, I have to put it as VBA. So I can put it in two different ways. Now why do we do this? Now as I mentioned earlier, this link is a floating link. Now both the ends are moving. Now the velocity has to be represented with reference to another point. So in the other two cases, the velocity is with respect to a fixed point. So that point is O. So that's why we have VBO. Similarly, we have VAO. But in this case, both the ends are moving. So if you see with respect to if you see one point from another point, you'll see one direction. If you see the other point from the other end of the connecting rod, you see the other direction. So that means if a bus is moving from a bus stop, if you stand at the bus stop and see the bus will be moving away from the bus stop. Now if you see the bus stop standing inside the bus, then it will appear as though the bus stop is moving away. So it depends on where you see from. So based on that logic, you can put the arrow in any direction provided you mention which is the reference point. So when I put it like this, when I put it as VBA, A is the reference point. I'm just writing the velocity of B with respect to A. In that case, if you see from A, it will appear as though B is moving away. So if you put it in the other direction, if you put it in this direction and write it as VAB, so that means you are standing at B and you are looking at A, so it will appear as though A is moving away from B. So that's why we can write this in two different ways. So this is the velocity diagram. So you can plot this on paper and draw this to scale, and you can actually measure this, or you can just plot it in CAD. So if you just plot this on any CAD program, and you can actually measure this with very good accuracy. So by doing that, I'm getting VBOS 5.23 meters per second and VBAS 4.95 meters per second. So depending on how you represent it, you can write it as VBA or VAB, but anyway the value will be the same. So this is how we can use the velocity diagram to find out the unknown velocity components.